So you're ready to start intermittent fasting, but you have no idea which method you should try. Do not worry, I have got you. In this video, I'm covering the most popular types of intermittent fasting and the pros and cons for each of them. The most popular type of intermittent fasting is known as the 16-8. You have an 8-hour eating window and a 16-hour fasting window. The way that many people do this method is they skip breakfast and they eat their first meal at noon and their last meal by 8 p.m. And then eating nothing from 8 p.m. until noon the next day gives you your 16-hour fasting window. Now, while this may work for people that don't enjoy breakfast, definitely doesn't work for me. If I was practicing this type of fasting, I would probably have an eating window from about 6 a.m. until about 2 p.m. So I would eat breakfast and I would eat lunch, but I would not eat dinner. Most people follow the method by having lunch and dinner because it's a lot easier just with social constructs to be able to engage in dinner. Being able to have dinner with the family, being able to go out with friends for dinner works a lot better in most people's schedules. Now, while you don't have to be super rigid when it comes to intermittent fasting, there is some flexibility. You do want to engage with the type of fasting that you're doing regularly. So if you want to try the 16-8, you'll want to integrate it into most days of the week because that's where you'll get the biggest benefit. However, some people choose to engage in this method 3 times a week or 4 times a week, or only do it between Monday and Friday. If that works for you, then that's great. Integrating some type of fasting is better than integrating no type of fasting. Some studies on the 16-8 demonstrate that it preserves lean muscle mass and reduces body fat better than traditional calories restriction. However, the only way that you can find out if it actually is going to work for you is by trying it. I personally have found that what I eat matters just as much as when I eat. If you've been practicing the 16-8 for a while and you're ready to try something else, the 24 is a pretty extreme method of intermittent fasting. With the 24, you restrict all of your meals, all of your calories to a 4-hour eating window while fasting for a full 20 hours. In my opinion, this type of fasting can be pretty disruptive to your life if you're doing it every single day. Interested in knowing how much weight I've lost during this fasting protocol and how my body recomposition is going, you are going to have to click that subscribe button and ding that notification bell so that you do not miss the next video, because I am going to be doing a deep dive. Let me tell you, it is shocking. There's nothing wrong with throwing in a couple of 24 days, so 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating, into the mix either weekly or bi-weekly or even monthly to give it a try and see how your body responds to it. I personally would never be able to do this method daily, as I think it's really restrictive and would get in the way of just life in general. I'd also have a hard time deciding which 4 hours of the day I would want to be eating in. And the idea here is if you're sticking to a really strict 24 fasting, then you don't want to be changing your 4-hour eating window because you want to be giving yourself the full 20 hours. The 5-2 is a method of fasting where 5 days out of the week you eat regularly, quite possibly with no fasting, quite possibly with like a 16-8 protocol or even a 24 protocol, but then 2 days you restrict your calories to, it used to be 500 for men and 600 for women, and it's recently been updated to 800 calories a day. And it's completely up to you how you put those calories together throughout the day. The recommendation is to eat 2 400-calorie meals. I've tried this method, spreading it out over 3 or 4 meals, and I will say that either eating 1 meal a day with 800 calories just for breakfast, or having a breakfast and a lunch at 400 calories or so each is what works best for me. The idea with the 5-2 is less about the amount of time between your meals and more about really having a low calorie day. Dr. Michael Mosley in the Fast 800 goes over how this works and why it might be beneficial. The idea in the Fast 800 is that you stick to 800 calories a day over the course of 2 weeks, up to 12 weeks, or until you've lost all of your weight, and then you go to the 5-2 method. And this method is able to keep your calories low on those 2 particular days while allowing you to not have to count calories on the other 5. Dr. Kelly Ann has a method called the bone broth diet, which also follows the concept of the 5-2. In this particular diet or way of eating, you eat recipes out of the bone broth diet book, which include tons of bone broth, but then on 2 days during the weight loss plan, you only consume bone broth and up to something like 500 calories a day worth of bone broth. Following the bone broth diet, you're having 2 days a week of just liquid intake. If you're ready for some pretty radical weight loss as well as some pretty incredible benefits to your body, you may be interested in alternate day fasting. Alternate day fasting is exactly what it sounds like. Every second day or every alternate day of the week, you engage in a fast. Now, this type of fast is generally no food at all, not eating a single calorie. You can have your coffee with no cream or sugar. You can have tea with no cream or sugar. And then the following day, you return to regular eating or reduced calorie eating, depending on your goals. People have had pretty incredible results with alternate day fasting, even though the research is pretty mixed and conflicted. Many of the studies show that alternate day fasting actually has no greater weight loss results than calorie restriction, but based on my own experience, I have not seen that to be true. So I might use some form of alternate day fasting if I've overindulged, if I've been on a vacation and I just haven't been paying attention and I get home and it's really hard to squeeze into my clothes. So instead of spending the next couple of weeks reducing my calories, I would just spend a week really intensely doing some alternate day fasting. However, I don't like to do alternate day fasting where you're eating absolutely nothing. So instead, I would follow a modified alternate day fasting protocol where you're consuming somewhere around 500 calories a day. Now, depending on you, your size, your current weight, you can even up that. I find I'm more satisfied if I eat about 800 calories a day. And like I mentioned before, my preference is eating those 800 calories a day in breakfast. So really what I'm doing with that type of protocol is following what we call a 24-hour fasting protocol. So I would eat all of my calories for breakfast, let's say at 7 a.m., and I would eat nothing for the next 24 hours, and then I would have my next meal, not at 7 a.m., but at the time that I finished my meal the previous day. So let's say I start my meal at 7 a.m. and I finish my meal by 8 p.m., so 24 hours later would make it 8 p.m. that I would have my next meal. That's my preferred type of fasting. It's not a true alternate day fast. It is a 24-hour fast. Now, if all of these methods seem way too extreme for you, the best way to dip your toe into the intermittent fasting world is just to do a 12-hour fast. So making sure that you consume nothing for 12 hours. That would mean, let's say you finish your dinner by 7 p.m., you have nothing after dinner, and you don't eat your next meal all the way until 7 p.m. in the morning. That is a really gentle way to dip your toe into intermittent fasting. Now, you might not see great results from that, but it does depend on what your goals are. If your goals are weight loss, 12 hours might not work for you, but you will see some other health benefits. You may experience some increased energy, better focus and concentration, quite possibly clearer skin. And if you're not consuming any food for 12 hours, it does give your body a break in producing insulin. And many people are insulin resistant and don't know it. And being insulin resistant can make it really, really hard to shed weight. So if you try the 12 hours and you're not noticing anything, then up it to 16 hours. Now, this method, I'm just making up what it's called. Actually, I'm going to trademark what it's called. I'm calling it the 3-5. Now, in this method of eating, it's like traditional food eating. You're going to eat 3 times a day, no snacking, and you're going to wait 5 hours between meals. Your meals will take no longer than 60 minutes from beginning to end, and that includes either your tea or coffee. 5-hour break of not consuming any food and not putting any beverages beyond water into your body guarantees that your insulin will not be spiking. 5 hours is enough time to bring your insulin down. Now, with this method, you don't want to eat later than 9 p.m. because we want to give our body time to digest our food before we're going to bed. I'm not sure why more people are not talking about this particular method. I have been taught for years that I wanted to eat 3 meals a day plus snacks, and that I was drinking coffee just really throughout the day nonstop, and that was just not working for my body. So let me know what you think of these fasting methods. Which one might work for you? Are you gonna try? Are you not gonna try? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.